How is your community doing now?
It's still healing. It's still very raw 2 years later. In many cases, you're constantly re-victimized over and over again. The other part of it, too, is a lot has changed, but a lot hasn't changed. Everyone talks about Rob, what happened at Rob. Everyone talks about the new elementary school, Uvalde Elementary School. But there's 9 other schools in Uvalde that in many cases are still in the same situation. Yeah, they put some fencing up, but how do we protect our kids long term? And one of the things that I did, I mean, I'm in the middle of a runoff fighting for my life politically on there. I held a bipartisan bipartisan school safety caucus where we brought all these different partners together to have discussions on how we fix things. I had the superintendent of Uvalde. I had the new police chief of Uvalde. There's a lot of changes happening in Uvalde. One of the things that came out of that was $10 million for school safety, not just for Rob and Uvalde Elementary School, but all the other elementary schools as well.
So you mentioned that runoff election and in this primary challenger you have faced. That's the 28th. In the initial, you received 45% of the primary vote, just short of that 50% threshold. I want to ask, because last March you were censured by the Texas Republican Party, and you connected that to the votes that you took to help get the bipartisan Safer Communities Act through the Congress. Do you feel that some of the challenges you're facing now are because of the work you did after those school kids were killed?
Margaret, you cannot be afraid to do what you think is right. You're never going to get it perfect, but you have to fight for the things that are important to us. Keeping our kids safe from being murdered from crazy people, that should be important to all of us. It shouldn't just be talking points. We shouldn't just blame someone else. We shouldn't just talk about mental health. We should actually do something about it to keep us safe. The Safer Community Act has prevented over 500 school shootings from happening, but that is only the start. We have to do much, much more. Part of that is, why isn't there a national standard for school safety? Why are all these schools in a silo when it comes to fighting some of these things? And we have to give them the resources. We passed this bill, but a lot of the money has not made it back to the schools. I'm not afraid of that vote. I'm not afraid of this runoff. I ran very hard in order to win this election, and I'll keep delivering for my district.
It sounds like you're saying yes, that vote hurt your prospects in your district?
I'm in a runoff for a reason. Part of that was that vote. And you know what? I knew it at the time. When somebody comes in, I like to call him the devil. When the devil comes and visits you and says, hey, Tony, you're going to do this or else, and you tell the devil to go pack sand, you better be ready for a fight.
Who's the devil?
The devil has many faces and many names. Okay. And so what ends up happening is there are no more debates in Washington. Everybody is defending positions that are already defined for them. We got to get back to having debates, real conversations that help real people. It can't just be these, this cosplay. It has to be real people doing real things. You started this segment with the Four Country Caucus.
Yes.
It's a great segment of bipartisanship.
You're part of it.
I'm part of it. I'm the co-chair for Four Country Caucus. That almost did not happen. And the reason it didn't happen is because everybody is at each other's throats and nobody wants to be seen with one another, more or less doing things together. It took a member of Congress by the name of Jim Baird. He's one of the last surviving Vietnam veterans serving in Congress. I don't like to share private conversations of members, but he basically told everybody in the caucus, he goes, here's the deal. Someday, somebody is going to be there to honor your memorial, and I hope you take the time to show up. And I tell you what, that hit everyone pretty hard, and everyone set aside our differences and put it together. But this is a bigger thing that's happening. The working together is almost a bad thing in Washington. We got to push back against that. Let's have debates. Let's fix things. Let's solve real problems for real people.
I think a lot of Americans would like to see that. We just showed video.